Okay.
Okay, here we go. Well, hello,
Okay.
I'm here today with Yolande Raubenheimer. Did I say that right, Yolande?
Yeah, Raubenheimer.
Rauben-
Raubenheimer. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're a native Afrikaans speaker and the creator of the Learn Afrikaans channel on YouTube. And you also are the creator of the learnafrikaans.blogspot.com. Did I get all that right?
Sounds very fancy the way that you say it.
It
But yes,
is.
I created it. Went on Blogspot as background, yeah. So I created that, yes. It's just a way, another way of accessing the videos, actually, the Blogspot. I should spend more time there, but I don't. Yeah, it's just a cap. If you get to the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
that's where I mostly spend my time.
It
Yeah.
all looks very artistic on the blog. I thought, oh, has she designed this all herself? It looks lovely.
Well, I do websites and I do um like Afrikaans is not my main income. Like teaching people Afrikaans, yeah. So yeah, I do websites and stuff for other companies, and I study fine art actually, and not language.
Okay.
So I teach art and photography and web design and stuff was just part of as part of stuff I do, for money.
Sure.
Afrikaans is more for passion. Yeah, thank you.
That's
Yes,
all right. I'm just actually going to check this is recording, Yolandi, because it's doing
that's
something
okay. We
funny.
can do this again. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh no, we're recording. That's
Okay,
perfect.
cool. So you're gonna
Perfect.
edit that out with me. Yeah. All right.
So thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to me. I came across your videos quite early on in my Afrikaans learning, and they've been really helpful,
Okay.
especially your videos on the long and short vowel sounds. They've been brilliant, and on making the sound with the I and the G and the R as well. So I wanted
Mm,
to say thank you so much for taking the time to make them and putting
yeah,
them out there, and they are very much appreciated and really, really useful.
thank
So
you.
that's all right. So you're a qualified teacher. We have a diploma in foreign language teaching,
Yeah,
and is it the TESOL and the TEFL
yeah,
certificates? So
yeah.
what made you decide to do the Afrikaans YouTube videos?
Okay, wow, that's a big question. Basically, so do you want the long answer or the short answer?
The long's fine, whichever you prefer.
Okay, language. Let's start with language and learning languages. Myself, I have always had an interest in culture and people, and has been on the receiving end of entering a culture and having no idea what's going on. You're like an idiot, you're just like a little baby in, what's happening around you, and relying on people to teach you, not necessarily linguists or trained people, but just the lady standing on the other side of the shop, window, and
Sure.
you're trying to explain, and they're like pointing, and so that's quite exciting for me. And also, um, it's a long, long story, but I'm in love with Afrikaans, mm, my language, like most people would be in love with their own languages. Um, but I think what happened also growing up in South Africa in the time that I did, there came a point where you could actually offend someone just speaking Afrikaans, because Afrikaans became this power thing, and this thing that had to be done with, and my generation went from having everything in Afrikaans and not even thinking about it, to everybody questioning their own languages, and should we now be speaking this and what. And I mean, I went through the same. And as an artist, I've always been writing in Afrikaans, and dreaming in Afrikaans and living in Afrikaans. And also, yeah, and I, went through my own rhetoric, and decided that I was going to stick with this language.
Hmm.
Even if whatever happens, I'm sticking with it. And I also, some of my friends went through that, artist friends, which then start performing in English, and eventually they came back to Afrikaans, and Afrikaans went from a language that was very much controlled by government in a way to a very free language where we have now festivals. I mean, you can go on a festival every freaking weekend if you want to. You can go to every little town has got their own little Afrikaans festival, and it's a language that now is free. And also, I think what made it relevant to start teaching Afrikaans as a foreign language is also that after what happened in our country, South Africans just went everywhere. I mean, I went everywhere. Everyone went everywhere. I don't have friends. That's not basically, I have a friend for a while and it's, you're going to Australia, really? You're going to England and this one's in that country. And, it's like because we were the first generation to have the right to go. No one else could go. And so it was on our shoulders to go see the world, So I went to see the world. I came back. But anyway, so, you get questioned about your language a lot. Me and my friends traveled through Cambodia. Now, we were obviously the only two Afrikaans-speaking people on earth, in that area. And we were like our own secret language. We would discuss things and like, no, we want to pay $5. And, and we will discuss and people will be staring. And it was like this big secret, But anyway, and then also the hurtful things that people would say, especially in London when I was living there, and I would maybe meet someone from Australia or Australia, Kiwi, people from America, and would like, sorry, isn't Afrikaans a dying language? And I'm like, what? And I was like, what? It's like a stab through your heart. And I'm like, and I made this very foolish decision, and I said, well, if it depended on me, no, it won't be a dying language. I will not let this happen. So obviously it might die, but it definitely, and then I came to a phase in my life where I really got hope for Afrikaans, just in general. I mean, I'll get to TEFL, but now just reading about it and learning that, I mean, the whole Namibia speaks freaking Afrikaans, and they don't really care about all this politics in South Africa. And one of my friends, he's a Namibian, and he's like, why don't you love your language? This is an awesome language. What's your problem? And I mean, we've been so under attack as a language as well. And, and then I started dating an American, which I then demanded have to speak Afrikaans like tomorrow because it's a language of my heart. I love in Afrikaans. So sorry. And he actually started getting the tapes and the stuff, and he was terrible. I mean, the way that he spoke, I just. It was like, where do you get the sounds? And then it made me really start thinking about the way we write our language and the actual way that we speak it is if you grow up in Afrikaans, you think it's the same, but it's actually very, very different. And there's a whole lot of sounds that we make that's actually not written down there. And I think it makes it quite difficult for someone from outside just trying to read and thinking that they might be saying it right, and in fact they're sounding really bad if an actual Afrikaans person will be listening to them. At that stage, I started doing the TEFL course just as an extension on my international travel opportunities, and just knowing I might one day need something like that. And I did a full diploma, which was a 5-week thing. And then it like started thinking to myself, I want to teach people Afrikaans as a foreign language. And I've always been thinking about that. And at that stage, YouTube wasn't that big yet. I don't even know if YouTube existed. It probably did, but it wasn't that a big thing. You couldn't just have your own channel or your own TV, whatever. And now things has changed so much. And eventually I got the first stuff together for the first videos after my daughter's birth, always just wanting to do this.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost at 800 subscribers now. And it's like, how's that for a dying language? So I was like, but I'm amazed at the type of people that's learning Afrikaans and the reasons for learning it. And people from all walks of life, Did I answer anything?
Yes.
Okay, I'm having coffee.
Do you find that they're from all over the world, not just from inside South Africa or not just from Australia?
Yeah.
They're very spread out.
Very. And very different reasons. I know one of your questions was about reasons. Is this the reason? Okay, reason. Um, first paying customer, reason was he was a language freak and he needed to learn Afrikaans as part of his repertoire of languages. But he could already speak so many languages. A lot of my students are actually some of my students are better linguists than I would, and they already had 5 languages, and I'm like, I feel like 3.5, maybe 2.5, I'm like sort of a mixed thing there, plus the 2 languages that I do speak. And so I also learned from them on the linguistic side. So other reasons, one person has friends, just friends. That's Afrikaans that's living in a society where they live in Australia. Other reasons is love. Love is a big reason. People being married to or having a sister or somebody, then entering, sister-in-law, somebody entering a family, and then having to visit these Afrikaans families, I think, and not knowing what to do. I've heard a Scottish man speak Afrikaans like you wouldn't believe to his father-in-law, like having a beer at the braai, doing the thing, and he did all of that for the girl. Even learned how to do the braai and the fire, and so Afrikaans ladies somehow get meant to speak Afrikaans. Yeah. Yeah, so it's and then work relations, people coming down here, working on the mines as well. My friend one of my friends in university was she's Indian, and from India, speaks Kerala, and speaks Kerala, sorry, and from Kerala speaks Malayalam, sorry, and she wouldn't speak one word Afrikaans. I mean, it was like she never wanted anything to do with it. And then the other day I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, "Hello, Poppy," and she's like trying all these Afrikaans at me. I'm like, "Excuse me, who's this?" And she's like, "Oh, but she's working on the mines, And so in certain industries, you will actually be left behind if you don't understand Afrikaans. Even though someone might switch to English when they speak to you, they'll switch back to Afrikaans, and then you'll be left out. So she just had to do it, yeah. And now she's one of us. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I found the couple of people I've spoke to, it's been very different reasons. Like me, myself, I've always loved languages. And then when I first went to South Africa, although my husband, he's English, but he does speak Afrikaans, I just fell in love with the language. And, I'd hear people speaking, I feel like I want to speak it too. And I want to be able to, speak to them fluently. And that made me fall in love with it. What video did you enjoy making most out of yours? I really liked the one you did in the shop.
Yes, I wanted to say the shop one.
It was fun.
I think I got a little bit of self-confidence with my video now. I think at the beginning I was like, oh, it's all about the editing and getting everything neat. And now I'm more like, let's just bring it into everyday life and be a bit more self-confident about it. And I like approaching random people and explaining to them that they are now going to star in a video. And it's amazing. There's another one coming up about the library, and the library attendant, I mean, she was like, oh, I'm going to be in this video, and all my friends is going to be like, she's practicing her Afrikaans. She's like, and she's like cleaning her voice, and she's like, okay, is it now? Oh, that was terrible. And she was just like being so proud because now suddenly the fact that she can speak Afrikaans is now making a feature just for the fact that she speaks Afrikaans. And she's like, people are always asking me to be in videos, and so we had lots of fun, but I still have to get that video on. It's part being edited, by someone. By a fairy. Yeah, but it's a struggle because I have a small daughter, and I'm a full-time, have to make money full-time and look after her full-time, and so making videos is a bit of a struggle. Yeah. So if I can do sort of in between stuff, but I mean that's life, and I think that makes it more real for someone that's learning. And I think for me, I want to make more videos that is just relevant to everyday life.
Yeah.
And I find after I've given a lesson, sometimes there's even things that I'm not thinking about, someone might be struggling with. And then that actually comes up in that lesson. And then I do a quick video afterwards that I found to be also very effective. And some of those videos have gotten a lot of hits. And it wouldn't have been something that I would have just sat and thought of by myself, because you get inside that possibility of that sound actually being a problem for me was not actually part of my reference, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a lot of Afrikaans TEFL type of books out there, you know. So we're sort of creating it as we're going along, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I've really struggled to find Afrikaans resources. Really, I found someone recommended Radio Sondergrenze, and
Sonder grens. Ja.
my wonderful pronunciation.
Baie mooi. Yeah.
Thank you. And also CakeNet as well.
Yeah, kyk net, ja.
And they've been really great for listening. But is there anything else that you would recommend that you sort of come across that you think would be good?
What also works with my students is actually Afrikaans music. And there's some really good ones, but then, you know, sometimes in music you don't pronounce correctly. So there's certain musicians that really does the right things, like of Heawels Fantasties, of Chris Chameleon, in Raubenheimer, you know. So we'll maybe, or they bring some songs to me, and then we actually use that song as a way of, you know, going through the words and the sounds. Yeah, I should be singing more on my videos. It's one of my goals as well. Yeah, but I found that to be very helpful. Just going into the culture of Afrikaans, then you'll find actually a lot of resources, but there's not a lot of resources on understanding the sound of Afrikaans from English, because I think in South Africa you grow up hearing Afrikaans, maybe if you're an English speaker, and being introduced to it in school from young, or friends or something. So there's not a lot of people that's like suddenly thrown into Afrikaans and they're 40 years and they've never heard it. And I think there's not, you know, in terms of just the normal stuff that's out here in South Africa, there's not a lot of people actually thinking of how we're saying yeah, and why are we writing a JA, and why are we saying yeah as if we're adding lots of H's at the end there. No one thinks about it really.
Yeah.
You know, about it. And that's just some of the stuff that I found with the first person that tried to speak Afrikaans to me, and I'm like, why are you saying yeah? It's yeah. And then I started after the TEFL training, and that's where TEFL came in. They look differently at words. They don't look at the word like the way you would teach in schools. More like it sounds that you hear, even maybe two sounds, even if it's one syllable. So that made me definitely change the way that I think about language. And then applying it to Afrikaans, I think it's been very successful. Yeah.
Yeah, your video on yes and no with the H sounds at the end was really good. Actually, I've got it then. I was like...
You can just, yeah, and I think the whole H thing in general, one of my students, I basically told him just go like, ja, nee, daar, gaan, die, und. You can just go like, and, you know, like chant H, basically, and speak Afrikaans. There's so many times where that's skip, you know, and there's no H in skip. Not written, no. You know, double E, double A or E sound, usually there's some H, but not always, you see. So, yeah, but, yeah, so that's one of those sounds that's just present but not written down. And again, I don't think any Afrikaans person actually thinks about that they're saying so many H sounds. Yeah.
What do you find are the most common things that people struggle with when they first learn Afrikaans or learn in Afrikaans?
English speakers.
Yes,
English speakers.
yeah.
From English to come to Afrikaans, is mainly, I think the first thing is that sound. The cat climbed up the tree, the cat at the back, and then you talk around. There's a lot of sounds hit there, and then in Afrikaans sal jy sê die kat klim by die boom op. The cat climbed the tree down here, and then the cat is something very different than getting that A sound to the front, and it's a very foreign thing because it's you don't use it that way, and then gradually moving that sound, and then the people I think that struggles with that the most would be Australian accent or Kiwi accent, because they really, hey mates, they're really back there, and then slowly moving that A sound forward to a place where it would be sort of still an accent. I mean, you're going to speak with an accent, but still sort of within the sphere of something that will be accepted as that would be an Afrikaans word, that's saying right there. So that would be for me also trying to move, and every person is different. Some metaphors or something for one person works not for the other. Also, I try and tell my students that I've got a specific accent as well, and Afrikaans has got many accents. So we can sometimes have fun a little bit with that, and what do people struggle with? R is definitely one, and the G. People overdo it. So say, and I'm trying just quickly to think of a word that ends with a G. Teug. And they'll maybe say teug. You say, and teug meaning you teug, and they'll say teug, and we don't say it. We do say the G, but it's so soft and it's almost just that little bit there, and then people just totally overdo it, and so it's like softening those those little bits of G's and stuff, even though you've got it right, but just don't kill me with it. I was just learning about the rhythm of the words, I think, as well. Again, as I'm learning with the students, because when they say words, I'm suddenly thinking, wow, okay, wait, why are you saying it like this? And trying to just find our way to the way we would say it. So it's very new for me as well. And then you'll have English speakers that uses R. From America, maybe from Canada, they'll use R. Like R, like normally, like maybe from Scotland or from Ireland, they'll speak with the R, and some other people will not have R in their English, so English is just one thing, and Afrikaans is not just one thing. And then I try and accommodate and see if I can lead them towards the type of Afrikaans accent that may not require an R, because there are people in South Africa that speaks Afrikaans without an R. So, I try and see where my customer is coming from, and try and get them the quickest route to having a type of accent that would be acceptable, or like people won't fall on the floor laughing, rather they're like, okay, you have an interesting accent, tell me about your accent.
I struggle with the R. I really struggle with that more than anything else.
So for you, it might also be better to try and do brei. That's an accent. So I can do that accent if you try. Nou, maar like fine. Ja, maar je kan Afrikaans praten zonder om die erg te zeggen. Daar is mensen wat zo praten, je weet, en hulle praat zo al langer, het hulle so gepraat. So je kan so Afrikaans praten. But obviously it's better if you can say the R, but you can just go like, I'm a Swartlander, en ek praat nie die R nie. Jy sê hom anders, so you can just be a bit more like wine and cheese and corn or whatever.
I was going to say to you, sorry, Yolande, I was going to say to you, is there different accents in different places in South Africa, or is there just one Afrikaans accent? So, the same as England.
Oh my gosh, there's different accents freaking in Pretoria. Like you've got different culture groups
Yeah.
with different Afrikaans accents, like living 4 kilometers. You can see if someone comes from a specific part of Pretoria just by listening to the way they speak. So yes, we have, and I always try and say, okay, I've got a sort of a northern accent. I don't have a complete Pretorian Eastern sort of posh accent because I grew up in a different area, but I have been living here for a while, so I would say things more in a round way. And my sister's been living down in Cape Town, so she'll say, you know, things will be acceptable down there. We won't necessarily say up here. So I always try and, tell them, this is the accent you're learning, but there's other ways and other things that you might come across. And there
Oh,
might be people that speaks Afrikaans and I don't understand them very well. Like we had I had an interesting conversation with a man at the Namibian border, and he was speaking Afrikaans to me, and I was speaking Afrikaans to him. I couldn't understand anything he was saying. So, it might, it is just that vast. It is just that
yeah.
vast.
So
So,
my accent might fit in somewhere.
yeah, and I think it's more the fact that Afrikaans people, well, like Afrikaans speakers, I don't like to say you are an Afrikaans person. I mean, you just speak a language. What does it mean to be, I just, I speak English. What does that make me then? Just a person, you'll find that we are not used to foreign accents so much. So you have to just tell people, I have like this type of, you sound like you come from, where did you grow up? You sound like
Cambridge.
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. We've got like, so you said this, I speak a Cambridge accent of Afrikaans and then just get over the shock, okay? And yeah, or like I speak, there's going to be now accents, a lot of accents, especially in England, because there's a lot of marriages there, a lot of marriages in Australia. So there's going to be an Australian accent of Afrikaans soon. Very, we have to get used to it. Like in England, English, there's just many accents, so many accents, and worldwide we are used to the fact that there's so many accents. The poor Afrikaans people are like, what? What are you speaking? Well, why are you saying? I don't know. Yeah, but in our country we have many, 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 many accents. Yeah, so
And
I can
what's
do
it?
it. Let's do a few.
Go on then.
Okay. But I might offend people trying. Okay, I'm
Yeah, you
attempting. I'm attempting. So Afrikaans is, kom ons begin. Let's say a sentence like my ma uh, my ma se sjokoladekoek is baie lekker. My mom's chocolate cake is very nice. Okay. So you can say kom ons sê ek sê my ma se sjokoladekoek is baie lekker. No, I'm saying that my mom's chocolate cake is very nice. So you can say, ek sê vir jou, my ma se sjokoladekoek is verskriklik lekker. It's ongelooflik. Okay, I'm changing the words a little bit, but okay. Or you can say, my ma se sjokoladekoek is baie lekker. You can hear the difference. Lekker. Not saying lekker, but lekker. My ma se sjokoladekoek is baie lekker. So that would be a more of a color type of accent. Now I'm going to offend people seriously. And you can ook say, jy weet, ek sê, my ma se sjokoladekoek is baie lekker. So that is something else. Maybe someone from like Tswana background, or some will say Afrikaans a little bit more like that. And then you'll have a Cape Townian, which can be a posh accent as well. We say, ek sê my ma se sjokoladekoek is baie lekker. So you can, but you'll change the ek will be an ik.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And then I actually had a very interesting experience as well on the Namibian border, again with people not from Namibia, from South Africa. living in that sort of northern parts, northwestern parts, on the desert farms out there, and the lady kept on calling me the Englishman. Die Engelse. She keeps on calling me die Engelse, meaning the English. En ek weet nie, maar tannie, ek praat Afrikaans, you know, it's, auntie, I speak Afrikaans. Nee, julle Engelse daar. Julle sê, julle praat met, and I'm like, what? And she just keeps on calling me the English. And I think she lives in this such a pure Afrikaans environment that she feels that I am the English, not a English speaker, I am the English. So even within Afrikaans, you know, you'll have an accent when I'm up there. My accent stands out like hectic, you know, like so much that someone will call me the English, you know. Yeah. So, and then the people that I met there speak such a pure Afrikaans. They don't use any English word or any other word in between, where, you know, obviously in the city, the more you mix, then there's intermix, something like that. Yes, okay, hit it. Next question.
What tips would you give to English, to people learning languages in general for English?
I don't know, there's no tip, you cannot change that. You'll be just like a scarred for the rest of your life. You're going to be English, no matter how you try and speak Afrikaans. Okay, tips 2?
Tips for either Afrikaans or language learning in general.
To not be English. To learn Afrikaans, you suggest to start learning German. Now, people, Afrikaans is one of your better languages to start off with in terms of a Germanic language. It's not a pure Germanic language because I have a student that actually started taking French lessons, and because of the French lessons, he started remembering his Afrikaans. Because there's so much of French, it doesn't sound like it because we've changed it a little bit, but there's about 30% of French in Afrikaans. So even French is totally, what we say, not Germanic. Yeah, that word is now suddenly jumped out of my head. Latin. Yes, Latin. So from French, it's good if you can do even from French, from Spanish, you know, that type of group, you'll find there's an access point into Afrikaans. Because Afrikaans was like, you know, when you go to an island and all these people from all these ships end up there, and then they call it Creole. You know, they'll call that. So Afrikaans is a bit of that, something that happened in Cape Town with all these people from all these different places, and there was a few generations of this thing, and there's a bit of a Creole happening there, you know, in the language, where you'll find an access point even from a Latin point, if you're Latin languages, or and then so I just jump right in. Yeah, it's probably a very good crossover language to try, and there's even words that's like hand. So it's like you just spell it the same way, it's the same thing, you know. So you'll find even from English, you'll find that there'll be already a lot of words that you'll be able to identify. Where for me, trying to learn Sotho, there's nothing. There's nothing that's going to pop out at me or anything. It's just like, what is this? What is this? Okay, that means, okay, you said that just now. I'm just still trying to figure out this word. So there will already be some stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Even just trying to, because of your Latin background and then coming Afrikaans coming from Europe, or parts of it coming from Europe, that will help you. And then from English, easy, from any Germanic background, it will also be easy. So I think if you have any background in from any European language, you'll probably find something that's going to work for you. Even from Russian, you'll find that the sounds might be similar. So you might not see anything there that's going to be similar, but sounds might be easy. even my cousin married a Russian girl, and she speaks Afrikaans now like nothing.
Wow.
She's just like, he, of course, didn't learn Russian, and I'm really, really angry at him for that. You know, it goes both ways. But anyway, maybe he's learning Russian, and I just don't know about it. Yes, but yeah. So, yeah, I think just because being a minority language, I'm very much for anyone learning any minority
Yeah.
language. Yeah, so yeah, he's in trouble, yeah. But anyway, um, yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't suggest learning something like German first or something
Mm.
like that. Um, yeah, even though Afrikaans has people try and make it a simple language, which is really not. And also trying to say things like, yeah, but it's just, you don't have just three tenses, whatever, but it's really not like that. It's more like nine tenses, and there's a lot of different changes in tenses and way that we use it that doesn't exist in English. And then there's a lot of words that literally there's no translation for it in English. So there's that side of Afrikaans that's when people start getting to that point where they can now say a few words and they can have a basic conversation, and then they really want to get into the language. That's usually when they start contacting me, and then we start just, but before that you really can get along with most of the resources,
Mm.
that's on the net.
The thing
Yeah.
I find the most difficult is the word order. That's what I really struggle with. Is that
I
common
know.
or?
It's very different. It's very different because you'll find. I think the word order is closer to French. I think. Well, I'm just
Yeah.
talking under. Yeah. So my one of my students that's doing Spanish, he seems to be a bit more easier with the word order, but it's very different because the type of European language that came to South Africa was one of long ago. So we kept some of that old ways of things and plus some other stuff. Yeah. And then we just took away some stuff that we basically didn't feel necessary. Yeah. But word order is very, very different. And
Mm.
I think you can just, you have to just hang out with people. But just get your first 100 words. You know that basic 100 words that you
Yeah.
can do. I definitely want to do a video on that, just putting those 100 words out there. And then get someone and speak to them. Force them, basically. Speak Afrikaans. You're going to do it now. Just, yeah. And there's another method that I can suggest, something that helped me is called, they call it the brother method. So just in general, do you know this method? Brother
No.
method. It's just a method. It's very chauvinistic method if it's only for brothers. I'm seriously, it can be for sisters or children or all people, mothers. Uh, so you get a sister or a brother. Basically, you team up with someone from the culture, and then Afrikaans people are really everywhere. You probably find their little shop somewhere or something,
Yeah.
and you just you go with your little notebook and you find your own phonetic way of writing things down, and you try from yourself. You try and think of at least 5 words that you're going to learn that day
Mhm.
with that person that's relevant to something. It can't just be random. It has to be relevant to something that you would like to learn. And then you just learn 5 words. You don't learn more than 5 words a day. That's the key. And you make sure that you understand the way that the person's saying it, and you write it down phonetically for yourself in your own phonetic gibberish, whatever is going to make you understand what that sounds are, and just 5 words a day. And the next day you come back or week or whenever you're going to go
Mm.
past the shop or the place where your Afrikaans victim is going to be, you're going to go through that word again, make sure that you have now got the right sound, and then you go for your next 5 words. So if you're doing this like
Okay.
actively, visiting a family and you're going to be there for a month, if you're going to 30 times 5, you're already at you're already at 150 words. So that's already enough to actually, from scratch, now understand. Yes, I want some tea. You can express yourself. You're starting to follow, and I think once you've hit 150, 200 words, it's easier to start adding because now you can start following conversation. So this is a simple thing. It won't take too long, and then you just discuss with the person that this is what you're doing, and that they commit. And it has to just be someone that you can get along with, and someone that's patient. And the other thing with the Brother method is you will find that the person that's teaching you now wants to teach you a lot of stuff. They just start telling you things. This is rekenaar, and that is lamp, this is lamp, and have you thought, and you just stop. I'm learning these 5 words, and that. And tomorrow, and I'm learning, you tell them what you want to know, and that's it. You don't like, oh, okay, now I've learned 100 words in 5 minutes, and then I can't remember anything, yeah. So that is something that is going to help you, to be awesome, yeah.
That sounds great. I'm going to South Africa in November, so I'll get my first victim.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Oh.
Ja, nog.
What would you say are the defining characteristics of the Afrikaans language?
Okay. Defining characteristics. Oh, context. Give me context.
Like if you were to hear it out in public, what would make you go, it's Afrikaans?
Okay, definitely it will be one complete octave lower than English. I would have been able to, on the tubes when I was in London, I would just hear a group of people speaking a certain octave, like low, and then I would know they're speaking Afrikaans. Definitely, another thing is that we'd go down at the end of sentences, questions, I think, and English goes up, right? Yeah. So I'll say, gaan jy môre school toe? Are you going to school tomorrow? And you go like, are you going to school tomorrow? You guys go like, and we'll go down. So that's the other thing that people needs to get used to. Even I'll ask my students questions in Afrikaans, and they just look at me, and I'm like, I just asked something. Like they just go registration because they're just waiting for that little, at the end, yeah. And the Australians, the words, I mean, they go all the way, it's like, they're always singing like that. So definitely lower sounds, and then, so that's 2 things, I think. It sounds a bit aggressive, apparently. For me, no, because I speak, but apparently some people tell me that it sounds aggressive.
I haven't noticed that.
I haven't noticed. Okay, good. So that was just someone being mean. Okay. Trying to think of what people have said. People has been very mean. I mean, when I meet people from Netherlands, many times in South Africa, they'll just say, "Maar dis net 'n kombuistaaltjie, nee." It's just a little language that you speak in the kitchen. It's kitchen Dutch, and I'm like, sorry, you speak kitchen Dutch? What do you mean I speak in kitchen what? What I don't do is that. Do you speak in your? I make food in my kitchen. So people think sometimes if you're from Netherlands, also they think that it sounds like a simple language because we don't speak the big words. So they'll say vogel, we'll say fool. We just took out the G, who needs a G? We're just going to say fool. So we can speak very quickly. We actually shortened a lot of the words. But it doesn't mean that the depth isn't there or the complexity of the sentences or whatever. I wouldn't say develop because now I'm going to kill people. I'm going to physically come and, no, Netherlands, Viva Netherlands, I'm like, I'm all for Netherlands, but and the other thing is that Afrikaans is a lot of people, but that's not a kenmerk or what you say, defining thing, but it's actually very close to Flemish. Mm-hmm. Very, very close. It's closer to Flemish than Netherlands. So, yeah. But anyway, I can think of those 2 things at the moment. And we actually don't do the, I don't know. It's difficult from the inside to know. I should have maybe thought about this question a bit more. Sorry.
And
it's from the heart. It's a heart language. It's a poetic language. It's definitely poetic, and it's one of those languages that makes you cry. You just cry. It can really go deep. It's a really, it's a passionate sort of heart language. I've heard people say being more, like a poetic type of language, that you can write poems and write music and stuff so easily because of very descriptive
Yeah.
language. Yeah, I think that's something different. But I don't know if you don't know the language, if you're gonna like, oh, it's poetic. Yeah.
No, I think it's very, from what I've heard, it seems to be very emotional. And there was a song you did with your guitar, which was, it just got me actually. I was like, oh,
Yeah. No, that wasn't Suikerbosie. What did I do, Suikerbosie? No,
yeah,
this
you
one
did.
was Suikerbosie. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to do my Sari Mare, which would then make people really cry. You just bring up the Boer War and everybody just gets all angry, leaves, cries. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Good
And
old.
I've had the tune in my head all day from your tongue twister. I need to work on the
Uh,
words, but the tune all day has been going around my head.
so, sunny say, sunny so. Yes, yeah. But there's lots of these little things in Afrikaans that we just kept secret here. It's sort of behind, iron wall for many years, and then like, whoa, the world is, we opened up. Yeah, so
So yeah, that
we
was one
preserve.
of sorry, yeah. Yeah, that was one of my questions. What would you most like to share with the world about Afrikaans culture, music, anything that you'd like to share that you're
Whoa.
really passionate about?
Oh, share about Afrikaans culture, or food, or music, or you have to now be
Anything.
really.
What would you, if there was one thing you, or two things you could tell the world about that you're really passionate about, what would you say?
Afrikaans. Um, yo, uh, that's a difficult question. um, I'm passionate about Afrikaans. What can Afrikaans add to the world? Um, that's
It's
a
quite a difficult question, actually. I don't think I could answer
Afrikaans
it right
culture
most.
is definitely a culture of, I think, coming together. Definitely. Um, and I think um, there's the stigma about people that speaks Afrikaans. That's definitely, I think, absolutely false about
Yeah.
not being inclusive, not being inclusive. And then you'll find that if you actually meet Afrikaans people, they'll be so inclusive. You'll be like feeling, oh my gosh, can you stop trying to include me now? And like, no, 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 but do you have anything that you're doing tomorrow? No, are you okay? You'll find once you're in a family circle and you'll find people really going out of their way to, in a way, include you. And I think Afrikaans is not just, it's not a white thing, it's not a black thing, it's not a you or me thing. It's like people from all walks of society speaks the language, and now people are internationally speaking the language, and then Afrikaans people reaching out to a lot of people around the world, just being human.
Mm.
And you can really and I see we are always represented in media as the pastors with the guns and the attitudes and the close-mindedness, and I'm thinking, really close-minded? I mean, seriously, we have so many cultures we have to consider every day in our society, because we are multicultural, multilingual, lingual. There's not one thing that you can say, you'll be speaking Afrikaans to this person, you're in China there, speaking to a Zulu person there, from different backgrounds and cultures, and then it's just one little 5-minute slot of your normal life. Um, and sometimes you'll be speaking Afrikaans and sometimes not. Um, so I think just give us a chance. And get to know someone, more than one person, and don't, maybe you've met one Afrikaans male once that was maybe acting like a typical man, and then you're saying, yeah, but now there's a Afrikaans, like, and just think of, before you judge, and maybe just get to know us, and then enjoy our music. It's very good. There's a lot of very good musicians that's doing international things, and enjoy it. Yeah, I think I don't know what else to say.
Is there
Come
any
to South
musician?
Africa, have a try.
No, it
Come
was
have eat some meat. There you go. You'll be fine.
yeah, definitely the Brian meat thing.
You struggle to be a vegetarian. You'll struggle, but
Yeah,
it's possible.
I didn't think it was allowed.
People find it interesting. Yeah, but but you're welcome to be vegetarian. It's fine. Yeah, you might starve because at a braai, you know. But there's some vegetarian meat, I think, meat of some sort you can try. Um, yeah.
Are there any musicians in particular that you could recommend?
For people that want to learn Afrikaans.
Yeah.
Yes, as I said about those about the ones that I've mentioned. A very good one to start with is Lorika Rauch.
Hmm.
Lorika Rauch. And she sings in nostalgic sort of Afrikaans traditional things, but the way that she speaks is good, and also the way that the slow. So you can start with Lorika Rauch, and then you can move on to something like the Heawels Fantasties. And lots of videos on YouTube. And then you can move also on to Politica. Even it's a rock and roll, so not rock and roll, punk rock, sort of aggressive, grunge type of thing. Uh, the way that they pronounce is not bad. And then you can go something to Chris Chameleon. He just speaks quicker. So you want not to have music that's very quick. And there's a lot of South African artists, but Tian Jordan is a good person, but he's I love you, Tian. No, nothing against you, but sometimes the way he speaks, like he'll say May. Soos jy this is blues, and he goes, and then I have students that now has studied him, and then they say my, and I'm like, no, May, that's my, no, May, stop doing that. That's not a word. That's like a month, a month, year calendar. Yeah, so you want to start with Lorika. I think, yeah.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we go? Because
I'm talking way too much.
no, it's lovely. We could talk for hours, but I'm just conscious that you're an hour ahead of me.
It's fine. I don't sleep basically, so this wasn't bad. Most of my students I see between 8 and 11 in the evening,
Oh,
and because then they have to tune in to one another. Just don't be afraid to speak. I know you are afraid to speak Afrikaans, and Afrikaans people doesn't make it very easy because they tend to switch to English. So, as I said, get those first 100 words if you want to by yourself, get them comfortable, and then just go into it. I'm always amazed, just someone starting with very shaky, and then 6 hours of lessons. They are much more comfortable. They are making little jokes in Afrikaans. So jy weet, klim in en praat. And if you sound like a little baby, just go for it. and so yes, that's it. Yes. And get someone that's actually Afrikaans speaker, and try and get someone that's a first language. Or if it's a person that's second language, make sure that the accent is really, really good, because I've seen, I'm not going to point fingers, but I've seen some videos that's a bit scary for me as a person that has to teach sound to someone, and that person is actually speaking in a very heavy English accent as a second language speaker, presenting themselves as a first language speaker, and then that's the type of stuff you don't want to go into, because you're hearing this from the first time, and you're trying to, and then you're gonna adopt all of those little things that's not gonna help you.
Yeah, would that be your biggest tip? Make sure that they are Afrikaans as their first language.
Yeah, or or just at least, because it at least have a good accent.
Yeah,
Um,
that
but
makes sense.
you'll see from the comments that people put, and like, wait, shouldn't you be saying it like this? Sorry, is that actually a word? Like, or just SMS, put me in like SMS, like, sorry, can I listen to this person that you think is just a good person, to learn from? But then, just you'll figure it out, like, wait, this is the only person speaking like this. Yeah, but just get in there, speak, and yeah, I wish I could help more people because I get a lot of people just contacting me for lessons, and unfortunately, I can't just open up evenings, to teach people. I just don't have that type of resources at the moment, and yeah, and I should actually now thinking to you, just maybe thinking of getting groups or getting other people, yeah. But then, yeah, you need time. But yeah, just speak, 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 speak.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much for talking to me. It's been really great.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to watch your videos, you're on the Learn Afrikaans channel on YouTube.
Yes.
And
Actually, yeah. Landlady talks a lot. Yeah.
and do you have any space on your Skype lessons, or are you full at the moment?
No, not full. This.
So if
Uh,
anybody wanted to contact you, how's best to get hold of you, Yolande?
you will just be able to see my email address there, or mostly sometimes people just send a personal message to the YouTube channel, and then I'll yes, get back to them. And there's options for group lessons as well because of Skype group and stuff. So if we can always team up with someone else.
That
If
would
you
be
don't have
interesting.
that type of, because I charge the basic international rates of whatever international schools teach, whatever languages. But if it's a little bit too much, then you can. But as I said, you can get yourself up to a good level without a teacher, just using online resources. And then when you really feel like, okay, now you want to get um, really get into the way that you're speaking and conversation stuff, it's a good time to contact me. If you just want to learn from scratch, um, and budget is a thing, I would say try and learn online.
Just
Right.
start learning from the internet, build up as many words as you can, sort of 150, 200 words, and then
Yeah.
just sort of start talking from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get people, and I think it's just that scary thing to just speak like a baby at the beginning and just be comfortable with that. Yeah. But like if you have like a teacher, like myself or whoever you choose, I mean, I try and make people feel very comfortable. We make a lot of jokes, and before you know it, you are progressing, and then we speak Afrikaans only. And I'll be typing things as well as I teach. I type what I say out, so you'll have a reference in your Skype of every, basic, the most important things that we discussed. Yeah. So, but yeah, Afrikaans is just, you'll know why you're learning it. So there must be someone or something that you would like to speak to or speak to about or connect to. So yeah, just jumping. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Yolande. I'll stop the recording and then I'll just say bye to you after. But yeah, so for everybody that's been listening, this has been Yolande Raubenheimer, and it's been lovely to chat to her. Thank you, Yolande.
Bye, dankie julle. Tot ziens.
Bye, dankie. Tot